All right, pianists, congratulations. We're done with the first assignment and moving on to the second assignment. And from here on in, it's pretty much going to be one shorter assignment per week. And that's kind of a nice thing about the online version of this class because I don't have to take up class time to do a quiz day instead of having a quiz that covers lots of things every 2 or 3 weeks. We're able to do smaller chunks on a weekly basis because I don't have to use class time to get through these assignments. So that's a nice thing. So for the next assignment, it is going to be playing the 2-5 cycle and 2-5-1 cycle off the cycle sheet for the chromatic cycle off the Common Chord Cycles page. And so just to review what the voice leading is with the 2-5-1 progression, we have the bass, so that's the root of each chord. So the root moves to the root, moves to the root. And then the next part of the chord is the core, and that is the third and seventh. And between the bass and the core, the harmony is really defined. So generally the third moves to the seventh, moves to the third, and the seventh moves to the third, moves to the seventh. And then the last part of the chord is the color, and that's generally everything else. So generally that's going to be our fifths, our sixths, or 13ths, and ninths. So on minor 2 chords, generally the 5th and 9th are the common colors. And so the 9th moves to the 13th, moves to the 9th, and the 5th moves to the 9th, moves to the 13th, or occasionally the 5th. So that's how all those voices move. For this week, we're not going to be using all 5 voices yet. Last week we did 3 voices. We did the bass and core, so that was the root, third, and seventh. And for this week we're going to be adding one more voice. So that's the voice that starts on the 5th of the minor 2 chord, moves to the 9th of the 5 chord, and then moves to the 13th of the 1 chord. Now it can go to the 5th of the 1 chord, but let's make our default setting be to go to the 13th. So to deal with this, you'll want to make a practice plan, just like you did for the last assignment, and figure out, how you want to divide up what the practicing is, how much you want to do each day. Again, you want to be planning on probably 30 to 45 minutes a day of practicing this. You might incorporate, you'll certainly want to incorporate using a metronome. You might want to incorporate writing some of this stuff out, and I'm going to include a PDF that has the cycles started for you, but they're good for you if you want to write out the voicings for these chords. You'll notice I'm putting the chords in a range on the piano that feels good, and the tendency of these cycles is to move downward, and at some point your right hand will get too low if you keep moving downward for it to sound good. So you have to just jump up to a different inversion in your right hand. So I've done that. There are different places and different ways you can do that, but I've done it in one way where you are doing different inversions that all feel pretty comfortable about every 4 keys. So, yeah, I would encourage you to fill out fill out the PDF and write out the the voicings. And then once you internalize it from writing them out, stop looking at that PDF. Don't actually read it while you play. Look at the cycle sheet that just has the chords written out, and play from the cycle sheet. And you want to be aware of what chord you're playing as you're playing it. You might even find it useful to say the name of the chord out loud. Take your time with it. Be slow about it. The goal is not to do this quickly. The goal is to internalize what notes are in the chord. And the longer you spend with it, the more you internalize it. So don't think of it as a bad thing if it's taking you some time. But you want to not just be going by what feels right in your fingers. I mean, it's great to have some muscle memory with these, but at the same time, you want to be aware of what notes you're playing, what chord you're playing, so that you can replicate it in a real life situation. Anyway, I'm going to go through the cycles now at the piano.
All right. So we're going to play through the 2/5 and 2/5/1 chromatic cycles with 4-note voicings. So we want our right hand to be in a comfortable range that's near, around middle C. So here's middle C. And if we wanted, we could start in really any inversion. We could start with, here's the root on bottom. And then if we wanted, we could put the third on bottom. We could just go 3, 5, 7. But if we do that, we'll be needing to move upward sooner in terms of the cycle. So another place we could do is starting with the 5th on bottom. So here's 5, 7, 3. And that's a nice place. We could also, if we wanted, we could start with 7, 3, 5. And all of those are totally fine. I picked starting with the 5th on bottom in the right hand. So here's 5, 7, 3. And then we just voice lead. So we've got, the root moving to the root, moving to the root. We have the 5th becoming the 9th, becoming the 13th. Then we have the 7th becoming the 3rd, becoming the 7th. And then we have the 3rd becoming the 7th, becoming the 3rd. And we put them all together and we've got this. And it sounds nice. You'll notice that the common color on the minor 2 chord, on that D minor 7 chord, is an A, is the 5th. Whereas in the other chords, the common color tends to be the 13th. The reason for that is because if we put a 13th on that minor 2 chord, then we wouldn't really feel any of that good motion when we get to the 5 chord, because the primary motion from the D minor 7 chord to the G7 chord is the 7th moving down to the 3rd. And so if we're already playing the 13th on that D minor 7 chord, there's the 13th of D minor, well, that's the same as the 3rd of G7. So that kind of wipes out that motion from the 2 to the 5. So so for that reason, we tend not to play the 13th on minor 2 chords when they're functioning as a 2 chord. Now, if it's functioning as a 1 chord, then sure, it's a great sound. But as a 2 chord, it gets in the way of the voice leading. So I'm just going to play through some of this cycle. Here we go. This is the 2-5-1 cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4. D minor 7, G7, C major 7. Now here comes down a half step, 2-5-1 in B major. Here we've got C sharp minor 7, F sharp 7, B major 7. Then down a half step to B flat major, to a 2-5-1 in B flat major. So here's C minor 7, F7, B flat major 7. And then down a half step to 2-5-1 in A major 7. In A major, we've got B minor 7, E7, A major 7. And now is a nice time to jump up. I don't have to jump up here, but it's a nice time to jump up in the right hand to a different inversion. So I'm going to move to having my 7th on bottom for B flat minor 7, E flat 7, A flat major 7. And then we just bring it all down a half step. A minor 7, D7, G major 7. Then we bring it down a half step. A flat minor 7, D flat 7, G flat major 7. Bring it down a half step. G minor 7, C7, F major 7. And then here is now another good time to bring up the inversion in our right hand. So I'm going to jump up to now having the 3rd on bottom in the right hand. So here's F sharp minor 7, B7, E major 7. Now the whole thing down a half step. F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7. Then E minor 7, A7, D major 7. And then E flat minor 7, A flat 7, D flat major 7. And this is just one way of doing it. You don't have to do it exactly this way at all. This is just an example. It's a good place to start off, see how things are going. And with the 2-5 cycle, so this is just 2 5s going down that half step cycle, that chromatic cycle. It's the same idea. So I'm just going to play through it so you can follow along. So here we are, and I'll start on D minor 7, but it'd be good for you to practice being able to start from anywhere. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. D minor 7, G7, C sharp minor 7, F sharp 7, C minor 7, F7, B minor 7, E7, B flat minor 7, and I jumped up there, E flat 7, A minor 7, D7, A flat minor 7, D flat 7, G minor 7, C7, and now we jump up again, F sharp minor 7, B7, F minor 7, B flat 7, E minor 7, A7, E flat minor 7, A flat 7, and then we're back at the beginning. Right? And with this one in particular, it's easy to tune out what chords you're actually playing and just let your fingers move in a pattern. And I would encourage you not to do that. Really say the name of the chord. Maybe say, look at your fingers, look at what notes you're actually playing, look at what notes are in the chord. Try to internalize it, maybe just do a few measures a day. do it starting in different places, and definitely don't be looking at the written out voicings. Be looking at this music on the cycles sheet. So I'm going to resend that cycles sheet, but that's what you want to be looking at for the quiz. Do not look at the written out voicings. Okay, I think that about covers it. This cycle, by the way, is a really great useful cycle. All these cycles are, but it brings to mind a tune that I'll just share with you, classic Thelonious Monk tune called Ask Me Now. And the neat thing with Ask Me Now is it starts out with just doing this chromatic 2/5 cycle. And it starts also, it's doing just two note voicings in the left hand. So it starts with root and seventh on a G minor 7, and then moves to C7, root and third, although he plays them in tenths instead of thirds, but that's the same thing. It's a third plus an octave. Then it goes to F sharp minor 7, B7, then F minor 7, B flat 7, E minor 7, A7, then E flat minor 7, then A flat 7, and then D flat, or it doesn't do the D flat major, it goes to B7. So here it is with some melody. All right, folks. Have a great week, and please send me emails with your questions. I'm happy to check out what you're doing, and especially if you want to check in with me about your practice log, practice plan, and any questions you've got. And I look forward to hearing your playing. Have fun with this.